Hi friends, I'm Abby and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be starting my series on series. So I do this annually where I go through how I'm doing with my series, where I'm up to in terms of the series that I have been DNFing, so not finishing, the series that I am up to date in, and the series that I have incomplete and are completely my fault. I'm going to be expanding this year, and I'll also be doing a series I have started and finished in the year as well. Here we are. I love filming these videos. I just find them so fun because I am one of those people that really likes to be up to date with my series, or like I'm a finisher. I like to finish things. I like to, I don't know, I find it so satisfying. So I really like filming these videos. So to start us off, we're going to be talking about the series that I have DNF'd and have not finished and will not be finishing in 2022. I figure as well, because when I was like compiling this list, I realized that I have given up on 49 series in my lifetime now, that when I get to 50 I might do a complete video of all the series that I have given up on in my life. So look out for that one next year, because I feel like 50 is a nice round number and you have to do a round number when you do these things. I've realised that that's quite a lot. That is a lot of series to have given up on in my life. Like, it makes me realise how many series I have attempted. I mean, I think I've read over 100, but like to have attempted another 50 and decided that they weren't for me just blows my mind a little bit. But even within this year, I have given up on 9 series. So some of these I read the first book, decided it wasn't for me, and has decided that I won't be continuing on. Some of these are from like previous years where I kept going and then decided it wasn't for me, or I just decided to give up on it. So the first one on the list is Green Rider by Kristen Britton. I just read the first book in this series, Green Rider. I already read this with Vish from Books with Thee and our friend Sam, and I think we all just found it quite mediocre. I think we found it just fine. It was 3 stars, but none of us felt like we really wanted to keep going with it. Vish, Sam and I try and do like a buddy read. We were trying to find a series that was going to be our series to read that year, and we weren't really very successful because Green Rider was a flop, and then we swapped it to Daughter of the Forest, which we all loved, but then we weren't very good at keeping up with reading the rest of the books in that series, and then we sort of completely fell off the bandwagon in the second half of the year. We're going to find something that's going to work for us next year. So that's definitely back on the cards, the Vish, Sam and I buddy read. It's just finding the right series. But Green Rider was where we felt the very first hurdle, and DNF that one. Green Rider is a very classic fantasy. You're following this main character, can't remember her name. She gets like expelled from school, and so she's walking through the forest to get home, and she comes across this rider who has a message for the king, and he is fatally wounded, and she ends up taking on this message to deliver it to the king. And you follow her on her and the trials and tribulations that she goes through as she tries to deliver this message and takes on this mantle. It was very action-packed, and I just wanted it to slow down a little bit and have a bit more character development. So maybe that happens, maybe it does in the rest of the series. It's quite a long series, so I'm sure potentially that does happen. I just wasn't so attached to it that I really wanted to keep going. Another sort of okay one that I started this, actually quite a few of these are just average series. Like quite a few of these I don't actively hate, I just found them okay, and nobody needs just okay in their life. If you're going to keep going with the series, if you're going to invest time and effort into it, you want it to be like fantastic and something that you're obsessed with, and none of these created that level of joy in me. So the next one is Onyxborn by G.W. Ross. This was a self-published series. I read the first book, Cold from the North. I did a video reading self-published books, so I can link that at the beginning of the year. And this one, I think it was fine. You're following a main character whose hometown gets invaded by a group of people, and so him and the villagers are fleeing for their lives, and they're fleeing into this other kingdom and trying to survive and figuring out why this other power is trying to like take control. And again, I liked it, but since reading it I haven't felt the need to keep going with the second book. I don't feel as though me and the main character like were best of friends. Like, he was fine, but I wasn't obsessed with reading from his point of view. But I would be interested, I think, reading other books that D.W. Ross comes out with if he does something outside of this world and trilogy. Then I have Parable of the Sower by Octavia E. Butler. This one I don't think was bad. I mean, quite a few things I don't think are bad. I really liked Kindred that I read last year by Octavia Butler. And maybe I went in with too high expectations for this, but I found this it was quite dark. I mean, I think that's the nature of the book, that you're following these characters in this post-apocalyptic world as they are struggling to survive, and the challenges that they are going through in terms of the climate, in terms of the food, in terms of the population. I think for me, I didn't really connect with our main character, Lauren, and I didn't really connect with the very religious topics and themes that were explored within this. There is another book in the duology which I think generally receives more praise than this one, but I am not feeling super compelled to read it. I mean, I'm planning to keep this book for right now. Like, I did like it, but I feel as though I'm happy with the way that this ended. I'm happy with where we got to with these characters, and I don't feel the need to keep reading from these characters. And I definitely do plan to read more Octavia E. Butler, but I think I'll read some of her other works. A sci-fi that I definitely do not plan to keep going in this series, and actually both of these I read in the same vlog, so Parable of the Sower and Hyperion, so I can link that vlog, which wasn't the most successful, but here we are. Hyperion, me and Aaron from Booked and Busy read this as a buddy read. Neither of us really liked it. I didn't really like the narrative structure. I wasn't really attached to any of the characters. I didn't feel as though it aged particularly well in some instances, and I don't really feel the need to keep going. It didn't hook me the way I wanted to be hooked. This one, I found it was a little bit boring, a bit dry, just not really to my taste. My mission, my aim, my desire to find the perfect sci-fi for me continues. We will keep trying because I do feel like sci-fi should be for me. I do. I just feel like I need to find a sci-fi that's more world and character focused than plot focused, maybe. I don't really know what focus this was, short story focus, but it wasn't really for me. Another couple that I read for a video was A Touch of Darkness by Scarlett St. Clair and Neon Gods by Katie Roberts. So both Hades and Persephone retellings. These are both part of wider series. So A Touch of Darkness is a trilogy, and I feel as though I was perfectly happy with where we got to with these characters, that it sort of wrapped up. I did read the blurbs for book 2, and I think I read the blurb for book 3, and I was like, no, I'm not really too fussed about the direction that this trilogy goes in. I think I'll just leave it as this first book. Like, it was fine. I think I gave this book 3 stars, but based on the blurbs for those 2 books, I was like, I'll just leave it. I wasn't too obsessed in these characters' romance and what happened with them. This world, I was all just fine with it. I am interested in reading Scarlett St. Clair's other series, King of Battle and Blood, which I think is the vampire one. So I am still interested in reading from her. I just don't feel the need to keep going in this series. And then, Neon Gods. This is a series of standalones following different romantic pairings between Greek gods. This was very erotic, and I wanted to see the characters bond over more than just the physical aspects of their relationship. I wanted to see their relationship in terms of the emotional attachment that they might have for each other, or the things that they do outside of the bedroom. Not that they're necessarily always in the bedroom, but I just wanted a little bit more, and I don't feel as though this series is going to deliver that. So I feel as though me and Katie Robert might not necessarily be the best pair, best match, because I generally prefer to see emotional attachment within my romances and not just physical. And I don't think I'm necessarily going to get that from her. So this one is also going to be passed along. And if I do ever feel like continuing, I can just get them on my Kindle or something. Or they're all free to listen to on Scribd, so I could just listen to them on Scribd. So those are all the ones where I have just read the first book and decided to DNF. And I read those first books this year and thought, nah, I'm happy to leave it as is. I'm one of those people that's very good at DNFing a series. Like, I read that first book and I go, we're done, we're out of here. I'm not very good at actually DNFing that book. DNFing a book is hard for me because I feel as though I've invested in it and I'm like, I might as well just finish it. It might get better. Let's just finish it, see where it goes. And then I go, right, didn't like that book. Off the series goes to the, I I don't know, where a series go to die. Yeah, actually, I maybe should get better at just DNFing a book if I'm feeling like it's going to be mediocre. Nobody has time for mediocre. So a couple of other series that I will not be continuing in. The first one being Blood and Honey by Shelby Mahurin. This is the second book in the Serpent and Dove series. I really like Serpent and Dove. I've actually read it twice now. I read it when it came out, and then I read it last year with the plans to continue on. Never continued on until last month, where I was like, right, here we go. We're going to do it. We're going to do this. And then I read the 60 pages and I was like, I just do not care. Don't care at all about these characters, this world. We're just continuing on because we already own the book, and I don't know why I'm suddenly a we, but I already own the book. I was like, I should really try this. I should really try to read this, and I just realised that I didn't care anymore. So this book is going to be passed along. I'm not going to continue on the series. I've generally heard pretty negative things about the second and third book. When I'm not hearing amazing things about it, it doesn't really compel me to keep going. If I heard amazing things, I'd be like, oh, well, everyone says this book is amazing, so I should definitely read it. But when everyone's like, not great, it doesn't really fill me with much excitement. So I'm also going to be not continuing with this. It is a series that I started this year, but I did read the first and the second book, and that is the Women's War series by Jenna Glass. And similarly to like the Serpent and Dove world, I just haven't really felt the need to pick up book 3. I just haven't. I don't know why. There isn't anything in particular that's gone, don't finish this series, Abby. This series isn't very good. Because I think I gave these books sort of a low 4 stars, that I liked them, that I enjoyed them, but I haven't felt the need to pick up book 3. And as more and more time goes by, I feel as though that feeling of having no desire to pick up the third book is just going to keep going. I mean, I'm not suddenly going to have this burning desire to pick up book 3. That feeling isn't suddenly going to appear, I don't think. I'm not going to wake up tomorrow and be like, you know what, I really want to read the third book in the Women's War series, despite not having that feeling for the past 6 months. So I figured that this series also needs to move along. The 9th series that I have decided to move along from this year is the Fractured Fabled series by Alexi Harrow. So I liked this one, A Spindle Splintered, which I read last year, and then this year I read A Mirror Mended, and I was just like, what was the point in this? Like, what was the point in this second book? I didn't feel it was necessary. I didn't really like the direction that it took for the characters. I thought that these books within this Fractured Fabled series would be standalone companion novels following the different fairy tale. She'd take the fairy tale, she'd give it a modern twist, she'd make it a novella, and we would go from there. But actually they are a series following the same character with these different fairy tales interwoven throughout. I liked this one, but I feel as though I don't actually need any more time with these characters, that I think their story wrapped up pretty well in this book, and I didn't need for it to keep going, and I feel as though it probably will keep going in the rest of the series. I don't know what her plans are for it exactly, but I don't feel like I need to read it. That I'm happy to leave this one as is, that I enjoyed this take on Rapunzel, but I don't need to see the rest of them. So I'm just going to leave this one as a standalone. So those are 9 books that I have given up on this year. No, not 9 books. Those are 9 series that I've given up on this year that I do not plan to continue, that I'm just leaving as is and just wiping my hands of them. I do have a couple of series that I'm a bit on the fence on, so I don't know if you can give your opinions on them. That part of me's gone, well, if you're on the fence with them, Abby, you might as well just DNF them, because you're already on the fence, so that's a sign that you should just move along with them. But then there's another part of me that's like, but maybe. The first of those is She Who Became the Sun by Shelley Parker Chan. So I read that one, was it last year? Yeah, I read that one last year, I think as an arc before it came out. I liked it, but I didn't love it. And I feel as though, well, a year has gone by since then. And maybe if I had the second book at the time that I read the first one, which obviously I wouldn't have done because I read an arc of the first one, then I probably would have finished it off, because it is just a duology. But now a year's gone by, and part of me's like, do I care enough? Do I care enough to read that second book when it comes out? I haven't heard anything about the second book coming out, so I feel as though I could leave it. I could just leave it. I did quite like where it ended. I did quite like it. There were elements that I really liked, but I'm just wondering if I care enough. I feel as though I'm talking myself into DNFing this series. I'm not really coming up with any arguments for why I should keep reading it. That most of what I'm thinking in my head is, I don't think I care enough. So maybe this will be my 50th series that I've DNF'd. Unless you know when the second book of She Who Became the Sun is coming out, and maybe if the reviews are really good as well, like if everyone says that everyone says it's a really great book, then maybe that could compel me to read it, maybe. And then the other series that I've sort of been thinking about is The Beautiful by Renee Ahdieh. So I really liked this. I think I've read this one twice and I've really enjoyed it. And I've read the Damned, the second book. I haven't read The Righteous, the third one. And I think the fourth book is coming out soon. I think that's it. I'm just questioning, because I don't really read that much YA anymore, if I would continue to enjoy this quartet. I haven't heard like amazing things for that third book, The Righteous. And I think it has some different perspectives. And I think it has a bit of a shift in the world from what I've heard. So I don't know if anyone that's read The Righteous could give me some more like concrete thoughts on it, or what the fourth book's like, because I think that's coming out now. I think that's coming out in December. And I think that's it. I think that's the end of this quartet. I'm just questioning. I feel as though this one I'm much more on the fence on because of how much I enjoyed this one. And I did enjoy the second book as well. That I have really liked this. So part of me thinks that potentially I will keep going with this one. I'm just a little bit on the fence because I think I would need to reread this to get to the rest of them. That I wouldn't just be able to read The Righteous straight out, that I would have to reread this and The Damned and then be able to continue on with the series. So a little bit on the fence with it, but let me know your thoughts. So those are 9 series that I have given up on in 2022, and 2 series that I'm a little bit on the fence on. One I feel as though is much more on the fence, and one I feel is pretty much into the DNF pile. But let me know how you've been getting on with your series, how many series you have DNF'd and given up on this year. And thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my future videos. Bye!